406-549-0543. This message is brought to you by 5210 Let's Move Missoula.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. It's time for Montana's only daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
Well, that was embarrassing. At least if you were rooting for the United States. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, 129 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I'm Coulter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. We'll start with, what else do you say? The blowout loss to the United States yesterday in the round of 16 at the World Cup. It was quite a deflation from what had been such a fever pitch around the game of soccer and having the World Cup in North America. And it all went down in a ball of flames, and Belgium, quite frankly, embarrassed the United States. They're up 1-0 with 8 minutes into the match. They're up 2-0, 33 minutes into the match. Then the United States does get on the board, and then it all goes away. Completely just ridiculous. And how do you even describe what happened with the American goalkeeper? He goes out to meet a ball way beyond the goal box. He gets tangled up. He basically tries to clear it with a big kick. He kicks the ground instead of the ball, basically falls over, and with the Belgium forward just chip shot up to his teammate, who then just puts one in the right-hand corner. And that's basically ball game. But then Belgium adds another one in stoppage time, just for good measure. So 4-1 Belgium. They're moving on to the round of 8, the quarterfinals. And America's sitting there wondering, what the heck happened? Are we actually better? So we'll get into all that. I got plenty to say about, again, I'm no soccer aficionado, but I do think that there's definitive talking points here to point to why the United States has been seemingly knocking on the door of international relevance for basically the majority of my life, but has not actually been able to do that, not been actually able to attain it. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk some NBA. We didn't get to any of the NBA stuff that I wanted to yesterday, so we'll get to that today. We also have some Paddleheads tickets for you. We also got some Tagliari Deli for you. We got some swing cards, some D-Bat for you. We got our latest Treasure State Stars for you. We got our latest Inside the FCS with Samuel Akim. And we'll talk to Tanner Huff, a senior defensive back for the Grizz football team, as he is one of 5 Grizz that are hosting a camp coming up on July 17th at the Montana Athletics Bubble. We caught up with all 5 of the camp counselors. Kaylee Ayotte and Ian Finch have already been played on this show. And we talked to Tanner Huff, Brooks Davis, and Peyton Wing. We'll have Huff today, Wing tomorrow, Davis on Thursday. So looking forward to hearing from those guys as well. If you want to stream it, you always can. 1029ESPN.com. You can also find us on the ESPN MT app. You can also find us on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitch. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Call it or text it. Texting is probably the best way. Text us, 406-888-1029. If you'd like to be a part of the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. I know that sometimes it might. First of all, I don't think I have to define this, but I try to play it down the middle on pretty much anything and everything that we discuss, talk about, analyze. There's some stuff that I'm passionate about, and usually that's. I always try to remove the bias or remove the one-sidedness to anything. And I think sometimes that makes me come off like I'm a hater. But yesterday, I raised the hypothetical question of, because I've heard this so often the last 2 World Cups. the United States is on the verge of a breakthrough. The United States men's national team, this is going to be the one that puts America over the top. The United States is going to be in that same conversation as the French, the French, the Argentinians, the Spanish, the English, the Brazilians, the Portuguese, the Belgians, the Dutch, the Mexicans, the Colombians, the Germans, the Italians, the Swiss, the Swedes. I mean, there's been all those countries I just named have significantly more credible and worthy soccer accomplishments in their history. The United States has made it to the round of 16 in every single World Cup save one since 1994. That's 8 World Cups. They've made it to the round of 16 7 times. The only time they didn't make it to the round of 16 was in 2018. They didn't qualify for the World Cup that year. So that's part of this narrative, right? America did not make the World Cup in 2018. That's embarrassing. But they did come back around and were pretty good in 2022. And then North America was awarded the rights to host, and a ton of hype was around this U.S. men's national team. But I've been hearing ever since America made it to the round of 8, way back in 2002, that they're knocking on the door. This is the year. This is the year that they get into that top 10 or top 8 or top 5 international teams. This is a year that they're a true, real World Cup contender. And every year, every World Cup, they run into one of those teams that I just named, one of those top 15 type soccer countries, and they lose. Now, most often, it's not like it was last night. Last night was an abomination. Last night, Belgium's better than America, but the United States played terrible. And they played god-awful. So it was a combination of Belgium playing well, Belgium being better, and the United States just not showing up. But I posed the question yesterday, because I've been hearing this from all the soccer aficionados. I've been hearing this from everybody that knows about the game and that has studied the United States team. And they keep saying, and even the United States men's national team yesterday, after the loss, they said, we're getting closer to a breakthrough. This is a historically good team. And I asked the question of, is this team actually historically good? Or did they just get the fortunate draw for their group stage of being in the same group as Turkey and Australia and Paraguay? Now, Paraguay traditionally has been better than the United States, and the United States beat Paraguay, and they beat them soundly. So that was the win of the World Cup for Team USA. But Australia, they made it to the round of 32, but they're not considered a soccer power. Bosnia, they made it to the round of 32. They're not considered a soccer power. That's who the United States beat in the first round of the knockout round to advance. Turkey, not considered a soccer power, but Turkey actually was the one team to beat the United States before their embarrassing loss last night. But even Turkey was 27th in the world coming into this World Cup. So I asked the question, is this team historically good? Is this team actually knocking on the door? Or is this team, did they just go and win 3 matches, including a knockout round match, because they got a good draw? Like, it's a lot different to play Bosnia than it is to play Brazil. It's a lot different to draw Bosnia than it is to draw Morocco or Senegal or France or England or Mexico or Sweden, Switzerland. I mean, you could go on down the line. But what we saw yesterday, I thought, was pretty affirming in not a good way for the United States. Team USA came in as the 16th ranked team in the world. Belgium came in as the 8th ranked team in the world. It looked more disparate than that. If you look at the world rankings right now, who has traditional soccer prowess that is ranked behind the United States in the world rankings right now? I think you could argue, like traditionally over the years, Senegal, Norway, Uruguay, And that's, I mean, maybe on the best year, the Ivory Coast, Congo, maybe. But those are the only teams you could say that the United States has either caught or surpassed. But you look at everybody that's ahead of America in the poll, I don't know how America ever catches any of those teams. Switzerland, Italy, Croatia, Germany, Colombia, Mexico, Netherlands, Belgium, Portugal, Morocco, Brazil, England, Spain, Argentina, France. It ain't even close. So I don't know if America's actually getting better. And this is where the never-ending cycle enters into the lexicon. How does soccer become more popular in America if we can't even beat Belgium? I mean, America has 340 million people. Belgium has 11 million people. Belgium is like the state of Washington. It's probably a little bit bigger than the state of Washington. I'm trying to think of it's just like the state of Ohio. The United States can't beat the state of Ohio? Like, how? Again, I know Belgium has more soccer tradition, and they've thwarted the United States in the World Cup multiple times. But this is the vicious cycle. How does soccer become more popular in America if we can't beat Belgium? But how do we beat Belgium unless soccer becomes more popular in America? I don't actually even know if it's necessarily a product of popularity as much as it is a product of the system that we play in. If you understand how club soccer works all over Europe, they basically identify the best young talent as 12-year-old kids. And they bring those kids into specific clubs. Well, then if that kid develops and he gets called up to another club, the club that he comes from gets a transfer fee. So the strong keep getting stronger until all of a sudden, if you climb all the way to the club ranks, you're playing for Barcelona, or you're playing for Real Madrid, or you're playing for Tottenham or Liverpool or Chelsea or any of those English Premier League teams or any of the La Liga teams or whatever. But every time you get called up, the team, the program that developed you, they got paid. In America, it's the inverse. You got to pay the club to get money. This is a pretty long tweet, so I'll try to paraphrase it. This is a tweet from Akash Gupta, who is a Twitter content producer. I don't really know. I was not really familiar with him, but he writes a newsletter that's all about the economy of sports. And he said in Germany, a talented 14-year-old earns his club money. In America, his parents pay the club $15,000 a year. That's the single inversion that will explain why, quote, "we will not" is the most accurate line ever written about United States soccer. FIFA built a global system around this. Training compensation and solidarity payments send a cut of every transfer fee back to the club that develops the players from age 12 onward. Develop one future pro and your academy gets paid for a decade. Great players from Barcelona. He uses Barcelona as the example, but the club that produced several of the best Barcelona players, they get paid year in and year out. U.S. Soccer refuses to enforce those rules. When Seattle Crossfire Premier claimed its $60,000 share of DeAndre Yeldon's transfer to Tottenham, it got nothing. Claims on Clint Dempsey and Bradley, both those transfers, they died probably because the Federation couldn't even produce the youth training records. The whole point is that there's these low-hanging fruit narratives that America's not as good, and I've perpetuated these. I have done segments about these over the last couple of weeks. America's not as good as in men's soccer because, one, our best athletes don't play soccer. They play football, basketball, baseball, hockey, all of it before they play soccer. That's the number one narrative. Number two, soccer is just not as popular in America, so it's not drawing the same amount of attention it is everywhere else. And three, we're just too far behind the countries that we're trying to catch. Well, I think all three of those do have some influence, but the way we do it in America is one of the things that has messed up the system. And it's particularly true in men's soccer, boys and men's soccer. Kids get priced out way before they actually get an opportunity to develop and become what they could become. I can't remember who. I think it was Darren Ravel. Somebody was arguing about, well, what would have happened if LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Russell Westbrook would have played soccer instead of basketball when they were kids? as Darren Rovell tweeted, they wouldn't have played soccer when they were kids, especially somebody like LeBron James who grew up in a single-parent home, pretty much in abject poverty. As Darren Rovell tweeted, you can think whatever you want of what LeBron James' soccer potential could have been. He would have not been able to play soccer after he was 8 years old because his parents couldn't afford to put him on some $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 a year travel team. That's the whole point. Soccer is the most popular sport in the world because it's the most accessible sport in the world. All these countries that are competing at the same or a higher level than America in soccer, they are not doing it because they have a more lucrative youth system. They're doing it because they have a more open youth system. It's way easier to play soccer for a way longer time everywhere on the earth besides in America. That is what is holding back the United States in soccer. This is why we will not close the gap until the structure is fixed. Again, in Europe, they identify all the best kids when they're 12 years old and they send them to clubs. Those clubs then develop those kids, and when they move up to the next club, the club that acquires them gives a transfer fee to the club that's developed them. It's a beautiful sort of minor league system that helps the best of the best climb the ladder, and this is at no cost to the parents. The cost is passed along to the clubs, and then the revenue generation from those clubs help the development. Until America has a similar formula, that it's just not happening. In terms of the specifics of the game, again, I don't have any acumen when it comes to soccer, but I was texting with our good buddy Andrew Houghton, who used to be the producer of this show, and he's a soccer aficionado. He said, I really thought that America had a chance to make it even with Belgium, but I thought the game plan was not very good. They had no answers and no adjustments, and everybody on the field got individually embarrassed in one-on-ones. I said, yep, to me that was the thing that was so clear, was that Belgium just looked straight up stronger than the United States. They looked like straight up just the more powerful team, and it doesn't seem like that should happen. If America's going to have the advantage in anything on the soccer pitch, you would think it would be speed and strength, because those are such prioritized skills in athletic development in the United States. That was not the case last night. Every time America got the ball in the open field, Belgium just closed on them and just took it from them. I mean, it was honestly just embarrassing how much they got physically dominated. And as Andrew went on to say, he said, yeah, it's just like in football. If you can't match up across the board in athletically and strength-wise, none of the tactics, none of the strategy matters. You're just going to get run off the field. Howden went on to say the midfield was not as good as he thought. He thought that the forwards matched up decently well with Belgium. And they're starting, he said he thought they should have just been able to outrun them and gash them in the middle. But that's not what happened. And Belgium is a team that's been together for a long time. I mean, this same core group eliminated the United States way back in 2014. But they're all old. And the U.S. is young. And that's why everybody thought the U.S. would have the definitive athletic advantage. But they didn't. And so it all comes crashing down. What do you think? What was elusive for the United States men's national team yesterday? And what did you think of just the experience? The World Cup buzz has been palpable. It's been pretty crazy to experience. Will that buzz remain now that not just America, but Mexico and Canada? I mean, anyway, Canada was out on Saturday, Mexico was out on Sunday, the United States was out on Monday. Those are the three host countries. They're gone. Will the World Cup remain at a fever pitch even with all three host countries eliminated? What do you think? 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Let us know what you think. Will it remain as popular on the national stage here in America as we move into the quarterfinals without any of the three host countries in the bracket? Let us know. 406-888-1029. Well, it's now ESPN Radio on a much more positive note. The Missoula Striker FC Club is sending their 2009 team, which was basically their U19 team, to nationals in Nashville. I got wind of this story. Well, actually, when I was at Eli Gilman's football camp, Brooke Redpath, who is Chris Redpath's sister-in-law, one of her kids was doing the camp, and she was like, hey, there's this cool story going on. I think it would be a cool, fun interview for you. I said, great, pass it along. So then I was on a break, so we didn't get to it till now. But these young ladies, they head to Nashville about a week from today. So we caught up with a couple of them earlier this week. Well, we always like to highlight organizations that are competing at a high level, especially at a national level. That's what we got with the Missoula Strikers FC program. Their 2009 girls soccer team headed to Nashville later on this week to compete at the national competition. We're joined now by a couple of the leaders of that team, Alex Whitteman as well as Kennedy Peterson. Ladies, thanks for being here. How you guys doing?
Thanks for having us.
We can start with Alex. Tell us just about this opportunity, because Strikers has always been a prominent part of the Missoula soccer scene, but now you guys get to go take the show on the road and compete on a national stage. So just tell us about sort of the path to get to this point and what's helped you guys compete at such a high level so far.
I would say a big part of us, of our success, is our teamwork. We've came together, especially this season, and just have grown as people, and we've grown together. So I think that's a big part of it, is we're a lot more, we enjoy hanging out with each other. I'd say we do a lot of team bonding, stuff like that. And I think that we do a lot of things outside of practice. We do a lot of girls lift, a lot of girls run, go to the peak, stuff like that. So I think that has helped us improve a lot, doing stuff outside of practice.
Kennedy, for you, what do you think have been some of the key factors to you guys having such a great year and advancing so far?
Yeah, again, like what Alex says, with everything that we've done to enhance our teamwork, we have really come together just in this last season, and we're really on the same page, which has helped us a lot on the field. Because outside of the game, we're just having fun together. We're playing games, we're having pool parties, we're doing all this fun stuff, and it allows us to just get to know each other better, which helps us on the field.
Tell me about Alex, the balancing act between high school soccer and club soccer, because a lot of times it's sort of a mixture. So like you say, building chemistry is a huge part of this, but how do you sort of balance both?
I'm the type of person that's just go, go, go. I think that I enjoy soccer a lot, and so I just think finding what makes you happy, and just especially making those connections with your club team and your high school team, finding the connections between the coaches and stuff like that, and doing stuff that's outside of practice, doing that team bonding stuff, hanging out, all of that important stuff, I think makes it a lot more enjoyable. So, or even just taking a couple of off days, hanging out with your friends, finding that balance. I don't know, just having fun with it is important.
And this opportunity to go to Nashville, by the way, we didn't give you the dates. July 13th through the 23rd is when the national tournament is going on there in Nashville, Tennessee. So, would you have a favorite memory or moment that's gotten you to this point, just in terms of the wins or the goals or any highlights that you've had getting to this point?
Yeah, I would say at state, we were in a PK shootout with Billings, and it was very stressful, as PK shootout is, and just our keeper had some amazing saves, and afterwards we just all run out to her, give her a big hug. It was just an aha moment, knowing that we've never made it this far before. We've always gone second, third place. We've never gotten first. And I think we've worked so hard over the years to finally get first place that just knowing that we did it, we worked so hard this whole season, and just hugging everybody and just enjoying the moment. My favorite part, definitely.
Missoula Strikers 2009 girls soccer team headed to nationals in Nashville. Alex Whitteman joining us. Kennedy Peterson, I think, is going to be back on. I think her connection might have dropped here, but either way, we'll forge forward. So, tell me about that part. Coming up short in the past, do you think that motivated you as a group?
Oh, 100%. I think that us girls, we have a lot of grit, and we've talked about just this a lot over the season. And knowing that we've been close so many times to getting first or winning these games, have that type of grit has really pushed us, knowing that we're almost there. So let's work hard at practice. Let's work hard outside of practice so we can win those games. I think that internally being we are almost there. Let's just keep pushing and we will get there.
Kennedy's back. So, same question for you, Kennedy. How much do you think does being competitive on the state level, but then not, coming up just short, helped motivate the group? And what was it like for you to get over the top and beat Billings and get to the national tournament?
Yeah, for sure. Being super close a lot of the years and like knowing that we're able to compete on this level, I think really helps just motivate you because you're so close and it's just like you've gotten tastes of it, but finally being able to like bite down on this thing that you've been longing for is so amazing. And yeah, just being able to like taste it a little bit and not being fully there, it's heartbreaking, but it's also motivating.
Missoula Strikers FC headed to Nashville. If you'd like to help with this, they have a QR code on their website, as well as a couple other QR codes I found online. And we'll put the QR code on any other website we have to donate to this cause on our metadata of the podcast of this on the Nuanez Now podcast feed, as well as on our ESPN MT YouTube channel. So you can click there, too, if you'd like to support these young ladies as they make their way to Nashville. Alex, what do you think of this, the chance to compete on a national stage? Are you nervous? Are you excited? How you feeling going to Nashville?
I'm nervous. I think that nerves is a good thing, 100%. But I also think that we should enjoy this moment. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So knowing that, like, you're here, you're just enjoying it. You'll never play these teams again, most likely. So just seeing kind of like the different style of play too of all these teams that we're going to be playing is really cool. I would just say, like, enjoy the moment, have fun, be present in the moment, and just take it all in.
Kennedy, what would you say are the strengths of your team as you head to Nashville? What are the things that are going to give you the best chance to compete?
I think that our passing ability is really high. We're able to complete all of our passes and we have very good off the ball movement. So that allows us to pass around teams and keep the ball. But we also have a very fast team. Like all around the field, we're able to outpace the other team, which is very helpful in getting behind and having crosses, but also with our defense allowing us to defend very well and get back when we need to.
And Alex, everybody around the country right now has soccer fever because of the World Cup, and everybody's been watching. I mean, the ratings are through the roof. Everybody's loving it. So, what do you think about this opportunity aligning with the fact that everybody's so into soccer right now?
Oh, I think it's really cool. I think it's like, especially the World Cup, it's brought a lot of people together. So, like, just watching the World Cup, doing that stuff, and then going to nationals, everybody's so filled with soccer, and I think it's amazing.
Well, what would it mean to you, Kennedy? What would it mean to you to go down there and be competitive? And what will constitute success? Like, what will make this a successful trip for you guys?
I think being able to compete with the teams down there, we obviously being from Montana, it's hard to find really high level teams and it's going to be a whole new level of competition for us. So just being able to complete our passes and keep our game playing, I think we'll be very successful in that sense. Obviously winning would be amazing, winning some games. But for sure, just keeping like high attitudes, making sure that we just play our game.
Well, last thing for you then, Alex. Same sort of similar question for you. Like, what will constitute success for you, and how do you sort of channel it? How do you sort of, like you say, stay in the moment and be present and enjoy this, but also go be competitive?
I would say a big part is like our communication. I'm a big talker. I think that that helps me calm my nerves is just talking the whole entire game. If that's telling someone to turn, pass, like simple stuff, just like making little conversation with the other team just like relieves the nerves a little bit. I think that I don't know. I think that's a big part of it is just enjoying it and realizing that at the end of the day, win or lose, just enjoying it, being here all together. We are such a tight-knit team that these are our best friends for life. So realizing that you're here, you're in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with your best friends is awesome.
What a cool opportunity for you, and great job representing Missoula and the state of Montana. Missoula Strikers FC headed to Nashville July 13th through the 23rd. We'll let you know how you can help these young ladies out. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us, and thanks for helping tell your story, and best of luck.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
This 4th of July, America celebrates a remarkable milestone of 250 years of...
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
The in-state football recruiting battle kept raging as June turned into July, and a pair of Montana's best prospects decided to go to either side of the Cat-Grizz rivalry. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. The latest commitments to Montana and Montana State each hail from Billings West High School, one of the top programs in the Treasure State. On June 26th, inside linebacker Lane Humphrey gave his pledge to Montana State, giving the Bobcats verbal commitments from 6 in-state prospects so far for the class of 2027. Humphrey's commitment came on the heels of Three Forks standout Cannon Rickman committing, giving MSU pledges from 2 of the top 10 prospects in Montana. The Grizz swung back in a huge way, landing their second Golden Bear of the recruiting season. Walker Olson, a 6'3", 210-pound safety and receiver who is widely considered one of the top prospects in Montana, gave his verbal commitment to Bobby Kennedy and his staff on July 2nd. Olson chose University of Montana over offers from Montana State, Utah State, and San Diego State. Olson joins Billings West standout Jack Ryan as Golden Bears committed to the Grizz. Humphrey, who's listed at 6'1", 205 pounds, collected a team best 94 total tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, and a team-high 5.5 sacks last season as West finished up as a Class AA runner-up. Olson piled up 4 interceptions and 10 pass breakups to go with 70 tackles last season as Billings West gave up just 10.1 points per game on defense on the way to a 10-2 record.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
I don't know why, but I Googled what is the most popular music in Belgium. Well, I do know why I Googled that, because the United States lost to Belgium yesterday. So, I'm just subconsciously trolling or something. But apparently Dominic Fike, who sings that song, is one of the most popular artists in Belgium. Who knew? Most of the rest of the music is very interesting. I guess I sort of expected some Ace of Base, ABBA type of music, and it was more like Shakira and Bad Bunny. They're super popular in Belgium, so who knew? The more you know about the various musical musings of the world. Appreciate you for hanging. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. If you got a construction project going on, you need a roll-off box. They got construction roll-off boxes for you in stock. They can get them to you within 24 hours. Don't wait days or even weeks. Grizzly Disposal can get them to you fast. Visit GrizzlyDisposal.com to find out more, or call 541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. The World Cup has taken center stage. But usually in July, one of the biggest talking points on sports talk radio is what the heck's going on in the NBA. Because free agency opens on July 6th, but usually the week leading up to that is just filled with all sorts of scuttle about who will declare for free agency. And there's also this sort of mini industry built upon the comings and goings, right? There's several reporters out there in the world, whether they're for ESPN or The Ringer or Barstool or whatever, that they make most of their hay reporting on who's going where. Not what's happening, not who's winning, not who's losing. No. Who are the top draft prospects? Who's going to get who in the draft? And who's changing teams? And where are they going? That itself is a little bit interesting. I mean, I love the narratives and the drama and all that. I also think it's a little bit overdone. But the NBA is the league where, and there's a variety of reasons for this. It's a cultural phenomenon, but it's also a collective bargaining agreement symptom, or I guess side effect. It's also a salary cap side effect, luxury tax. The way the NBA has been structured under the most recent collective bargaining agreement, Adam Silver made it clear that he wants to have as many superstars in as many different places as you possibly can. That's why you see teams like, I'm trying to think of a good example. You see teams that have legitimate superstars that are finishing 6th, 7th, and 8th in the conferences. That used to be, if you had a bona fide superstar, because there used to only be 12 to 15 superstars. A lot of times they play on the same teams. And maybe they're 20, whatever. It used to be if you had a top 20 guy, you were going to be a top 4 or 5 seed in your respective conference. Maybe, the Houston Rockets, when they won the title, was a 6th seed, but they had Akeem Olajuwon. And that's probably the exception to the rule. But mostly used to be, if you had Michael Jordan or Charles Barkley or David Robinson or Patrick Ewing or, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, whatever, you were one of the top teams. And now you can have a superstar, or you can have guys that are legitimate stars, and you might not even make the playoffs because there's more stars than there's ever been. I don't know if there's as many super-duper stars as there's ever been, but there's more stars than there's ever been. And those guys are widespread. And that's because Adam Silver wants it that way. The salary cap makes it advantageous for guys. They can sign the Supermax deal if they want to stay home, which provides them the ability to make significantly more money than if they go out on the open market. So that's to try to keep the big dogs in the smaller markets rather than have a situation like baseball where all the best players just go to the coastal cities or Chicago. They go to the big markets. They take the biggest money. And what the heck are teams like the Oakland A's and the Pittsburgh Pirates supposed to do? I don't know if they'll ever be competitive again, given baseball structure. That's not what Silver wants. He wants the opposite of that. But then there's also the apron. So if you have a superstar, it's pretty hard to sign the second, and it's really hard to sign the third. So the days of LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade all playing for the same team. I'm not going to say they're done, but getting all those guys to come from different places to go to one spot, that's going to be really, really hard moving forward. So that's all to say that then the roster movement gets all sorts of crazy. And then the other point that's worth making is we're at this crux where what we'll call my generation. I'm 39 years old. The guys that started coming up when I was in high school and college, this is the first wave, the first generation of NBA players that has been able to play for that whole time. I graduated high school in 2005 and college in 2009. LeBron James came into the league in 2003. Guys that came into the league during the 2000s include LeBron and Kevin Durant and James Harden and Russell Westbrook and Stephen Curry. Well, most of the time when you're 20 years or 21 years removed from that generation is gone. They have retired, and they've passed the torch. These guys have not. So that also makes it so that there's so many more superstars because you have the guys that are the old heads that are still pretty dang good. Then you have the guys that are right there in the prime of their careers like Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then you have the guys that are right entering their primes like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And then you got all the young guys. So there's like all these different versions and tiers of superstars too in the NBA. So that all then makes it so that the inner workings and also the speculation and also just the fandom of playing like NBA Live in your head, basically. Who's going where and how would this guy pair with this guy and all that stuff. And then when it all starts to fall, the dominoes start to fall, it just makes it so infinitely interesting for something that has nothing to do with actually basketball. It will have something to do with basketball when they start playing next October. But right now, all it is talking points. But it's still really, really fun and conversational to follow. So here's what's been going down the last couple weeks, if you haven't heard or you just want my opinion on it. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Giannis Antetokounmpo got traded. This was right before we were going to do a remote. I can't remember where. We did a bunch of remotes in June. And so we had a whole slate already planned out, and I failed to mention this. But Giannis Antetokounmpo gets traded to Miami. I honestly don't know what I think of the fit. I think when Miami's good, they're great. I think Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. Pairing Giannis with Bam Adebayo, I think is good. Bam's a good defensive player. Giannis is a great defensive player. That gives you a pretty formidable front line. But does that make Miami, like what does that do to Miami? Miami was in the play-in game this year. Does that thrust them into the conversation of being a top 5 team in the East? Like, are they better than the Celtics, who we'll get to in a minute? The 76ers, are they better than the Knicks? I don't know. Are they better than the Pistons? I'm not sure. That's what makes this fun, though, is debating that. Back to Giannis in a minute. Jaylen Brown somehow got himself in hot water by saying that he thought this was the most fun season he has had for the Boston Celtics. I think he actually called it the most rewarding season that he has remembered having for the Boston Celtics. That got him in hot water because he won a championship with the Celtics. The Celtics, if you've been keeping track, did not win a championship this year. But I think what he was implying or reminiscing on is that with Jason Tatum out because of an Achilles injury, the Celtics were not supposed to be good. They had an over-under win total of, I think, like 41 or 42. Like, they were supposed to be like a dead 500 team. They won 56 games. Now, they got taken apart in the playoffs, and they got exposed by the Knicks. By the 76ers. But they still looked, I mean, when you have Brown and Tatum under contract, the future looks bright. But then it became very apparent that they couldn't keep both those guys for a variety of reasons. And they decided they're going to keep Jason Tatum even though he's the one that had the devastating injury, and they were going to deal Jaylen Brown. Well, Brown gets on the trade block, and he's a coveted commodity to say the least. There's a lot of people talking about maybe he would be the guy that got traded for Giannis. And I know that Boston was in the mix, and maybe Giannis was going to be a guy that ended up in Boston. I think that would have been a good fit. I think that makes them the favorites in the East if he gets there. Instead, Jaylen Brown gets traded to the 76ers. I still don't know what I think of I mean, I love Joel Embiid when he when he is at the peak of his powers, but he's so rarely at the peak of his powers. So in terms of the pairing, I mean, how does Brown, Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey all work together? I think good, but does it make them the definitive favorites in the East? It all depends on if Embiid can stay healthy. But then I was thinking, just Jaylen Brown, the key piece that he got traded for, well, the key piece is 2 first-round picks. But the headlining name was Paul George. I started thinking about the crazy influence that Paul George has had on the NBA. He's been a good player. Like, he's been an All-NBA player a couple times. He was on the Olympic team. That devastating injury he suffered in the Olympics was something that certainly set his career back. But he led Indiana to the conference finals a couple times. I mean, he was okay. He was pretty good in Oklahoma City. He was okay in LA. Like, he's been a solid, good NBA player. But it's crazy to think of the influence he's had on the modern day NBA. Because if you want to trace back, like, how did the Thunder win their championship? It's because of the Paul George trade. The Thunder traded Paul George to the Clippers for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's now the back-to-back MVP of the NBA. This is before he became SGA. Danilo Gallinari, who was an okay player, and also 5 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. When the Clippers did that, they acquired Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and it basically put them into the most win-now mode the NBA has ever seen. They didn't win squadoosh. They didn't win anything. they made the playoffs, but they did not go on a run. Then when they got James Harden, then it was even worse. And when I say worse, I just mean, like, clunky and without direction. Like, you knew exactly what you were going to be. You're going to be a 45 to 50 win team. You're going to make the playoffs. You're not going to do anything in the playoffs. Rinse and repeat, right? And now they're clear of all those guys. Harden's in Cleveland. Kawhi got traded to Toronto, and Paul George, he went to 76ers, and now he's on his way to Boston. But it's just crazy to think that Paul George has been part of packages that included draft picks that the Pacers got. When Paul George was traded to the Kings for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis, the Pacers also got some picks, and they ended up using that to win the Eastern Conference last year with some of those young players. Then when Paul George got traded from Oklahoma City to L.A., that set up Oklahoma City to be an NBA championship team and a team that's been one of the best teams in the NBA. Then when Paul George gets traded from the Clippers to the 76ers, that's still, we won't know if that bears fruit, but the Clippers got 2 first-round picks back, so they forfeited all their picks for PG-13 and for Kawhi Leonard, and now they got those guys back. And now Paul George gets traded again, this time for Jaylen Brown. So he has been included in a whole bunch of the best deals that the NBA has seen. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. I know we're up against it, so we'll make this quick. But the other news briefs from around the NBA that we got to keep on tracking. LeBron James is leaving the Lakers. Where does he go? There's talk that he might go to Philadelphia. There's talk he might go to Golden State. There's talk he might go to San Antonio. At this point, he's ring chasing. But at this point, what else do you want him to do? If you're the type of person that says, I hate LeBron, or you're the type of person that says, LeBron James is never going to be as good as Michael Jordan, or you're the type of person that says, until LeBron has more rings than Jordan, we can't consider him the GOAT, then what else do you want him to do? He has to chase rings. He's got 4. The only way to get to 6 or 7 is to go win them. How do you go win them? Unless you ring chase. It's pretty clear it's not happening in L.A. As soon as they gave Austin Reeves $200 million, I think LeBron was like, yeah, Reeves is all right, but I got to get out of here. If we're spending that money on that guy, we got to move on. So I don't know where LeBron goes, but if you're going to blame him for ring chasing, I don't know what else you want him to do. John Morant got traded to Portland. That could be great. It could be a mess. I don't know. Bill Oram, who's a friend of this show and a friend of mine, University of Montana grad who covers all of Oregon sports for the Oregonian. He's the head columnist for the Oregonian. He lambasted this trade. He killed it and criticized it in every different way in a column. I thought the column was very well done. But he also got in some hot water. If you remember what the Trailblazers were called in the early 2000s, I guess I didn't know that this was a term that had been quote-unquote canceled, but it has. If you don't remember, Trailblazers rhymes with what? it was blank Blazers. You can fill in the blanks. I'm not going to sit here and get canceled. I didn't know this was a cancelable term, but apparently it is because Bill got run over the coals for writing this term. So we're going to leave it at that. But John Morant certainly has a checkered past. The Blazers had a checkered past 25 years ago. I don't know how that's going to work. Could be great, could be terrible. I don't know. Kawhi Leonard's going back to Toronto. He led the Raptors to their one and only NBA championship, but that was 7 years ago, and he's a lot different player than he was now, certainly. And then when you look at the top free agents on the market, LeBron James leads the list, but Jalen Duren, who was great for the Pistons this last year, but then had a horrible playoffs. We'll see what happens with him. He's an all-star center. James Harden is a free agent. I don't know who's going to take a risk on James Harden now. He declined his $42.3 million option with the Cavs, so I don't know who's going to pay him more than that. Draymond Green is unrestricted free agent. A lot of people think he might go back home to Detroit. Rui Hachimura was a great player for the Lakers. He left the Lakers. He's staying in L.A., though. He is going to the Clippers. Benedict Mathurin, he is a restricted free agent, so we'll see where he ends up. Jonathan Kuminga, who was a great player for the Golden State, well, a great young prospect, I should say, for the Golden State Warriors, but then fell out of favor with Steve Kerr. He was with the Hawks this last year. I thought he made some strides, but he's an unrestricted free agent. And then Russell Westbrook, unrestricted free agent as well. So if that all sounds like flashes from the past, it's because it is. When you're talking about the 10 best free agents in the NBA and LeBron James and James Harden and Draymond Green and Russell Westbrook are 4 of those 10 guys. Man, maybe these guys need to move on. I've been talking about the household names in the NBA lately. Maybe the old household names need to move on so we can make room for new household names. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. We got a bunch of free stuff for you coming up here in about the next half an hour. So don't change that dial. Keep it right here. We'll talk everything from Missoula Marathon to the State Am Golf Tournament to baseball, and we'll give you a chance to win Paddleheads tickets, D-Bat tickets, and free Tagliari. That's all coming up here in the next 45 minutes. So don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. 129 ESPN Radio. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. We got to get cracking. I went too long on the NBA. I knew that was going to happen. I knew I shouldn't have made it one of the short segments. I should have just made it one of the long segments, because once I get rolling on the NBA, you know how it goes. It's the thing I consider myself a historian on more than anything besides, of course, the local sports that we cover here around the state of Montana. So let's rip through this real quick, because there is a couple. I mean, this is like the height of when there's not a ton of stuff going on in the sports world, but there is several people from around Montana that we have to highlight that had some awesome accomplishments. This is our Treasure State Stars. It's probably presented by Parkside Credit Union. Parkside Credit Union, a great place in western Montana to get a loan, because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. Treasure State Star, we're going to do a quartet as our first Treasure State Star. They are the 4 respective winners of the Missoula Marathon. Nate Wellington took home the men's Missoula Marathon title. Kate Holman took home the women's Missoula Marathon title. Owen Smith, a former Montana State runner, he took home the men's half marathon title in an utterly absurd record-setting time of 62 minutes and change. To put that into perspective, the half marathon is 13.1 miles. To run under 63 minutes means you have to run a 4-minute and 45-second mile 13 times in a row. Think about how hard that would be. I mean, if you're running more than 3 or 4 miles, this is crazy stuff, right? But to run, I mean, 4:45 is a pretty dang fast mile. So to run 13 in a row, you are absolutely cooking. So Owen Smith sets the half marathon record. That was probably the highlight of the weekend. And then Hannah Branch won the women's half marathon. So congratulations to all 4 of those champions for both the full and the half marathon. It was a very well-attended event, as it always is, and a really cool highlight for Missoula to host that. Our next Treasure State Star, Cade McDonough. This young man has been, at the same time, a champion golfer and the heartbreak kid when it comes to golf, and that's what happens when you're that good. McDonough won the Class AA state championship at Missoula Sentinel when he was a freshman. He was the first freshman state champion at the AA level ever. He then didn't win another championship during his high school career, but he was in the mix every year. Then he went to Utah, and he was sort of in and out of the mix. Now he's at Abilene Christian, and he looks like he's found a home, and he's competing at a high level. But it's when he comes back to Montana that he's really been making headlines. He's been in the mix at the State Am. He kind of had a meltdown at the State Am last year in Missoula on his home course and gave it away. But he comes all the way back this year, and he wins his first Montana State Amateur Men's Golf Championship. And he did it in resounding fashion. Finished 7 under for the tournament. He shot a 5 under round on the final day and ripped apart Green Meadows and Helena. Really, really impressive performance by him. And, again, he's won a lot of tournaments. He's also been in the mix in a lot and let some of them get away. McKay McDonough is certainly one of the great golfers that has ever come out of the city of Missoula and probably the state of Montana. And it's pretty cool that he's getting his flowers now that he's matured a little bit and become steady. And when he gets it going, man, this kid hits bombs off the tee and he hits darts into the green. And that's a pretty good combination. Our next Treasure State Star, Caleb Belich. He's been on this show before as a Manhattan Christian star player who led Manhattan Christian to a basketball championship. Then he came on when he was a Montana Tech All-American. And now we'll probably have him on because he's the new head basketball coach at Bozeman Gallatin High School. So he's worked his way up the ranks, and that's a good hire. Previous coach took his talents to the University of Great Falls, so basically a frontier swap there. But Belich is a young coach that has a lot of his father, Jeff, is one of the winningest coaches in Montana high school basketball history, so he's got some good stock to learn from. And I think Belich will be a really good coach. I think that's a good hire by Bozeman Gallatin. Treasure State Stars probably presented by Parkside Credit Union. Parkside Credit Union, a great place in western Montana to get a loan because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. We'll do all the baseball stuff at the top of the hour. But right now, I got some fight tickets for you. Yesterday we prompted you, and we wanted to give away the rest of these tickets, and we only got a little bit of interest. So there are MMA fights going on out at Big Sky Brewing on Saturday. This is Saturday, 7 p.m. This is presented by Young Power Sports and Young Grizzly Harley-Davidson. I have 6 tickets left. So here's the deal. If you want tickets, let us know. I'll give you all. If you want a 6-pack, let us know. You can have all of them. If you just want 4, great. If you just want a pair, great. Everybody that wants some, let us know, 406-888-1029, and we will disperse these properly. This is part of the Absolute Fight Factory. It's a MMA promotion out of Kalispell. They're bringing some of their top young talent down to Missoula. These tickets are at a $30 value a piece. This is a good price. So if you want to go to the fights, if you got a group, great. If you got 4 people, awesome. If you just got a buddy, that's cool too. Text us, 406-888-1029. The Absolute Fight Factory at Big Sky Brewing on Saturday, probably presented by Young Power Sports and Young Grizzly Harley-Davidson. Hour 1 of the books. Hour 2 coming at you. We got paddle hits tickets. We got Tagliari sandwiches. We got D-back cards. Oh, by the way, we also got Samuel Kim, our latest inside the FCS. And we'll hear from Tanner Huff, a Grizz safety who's hosting a youth camp himself. All that in a jam-packed Hour 2. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. The entire lineup of top-rated mattress brands are on sale with prices starting at $149 up to top-of-the-line mattresses with lifetime warranties. Get the sleep you deserve with payments starting at $39 a month. Mattress Firm has pillows, sheets, adjustable bases, all on sale too during their biggest 4th of July sale ever. Locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The in-state football recruiting battle kept raging as June turned into July, and a pair of Montana's best prospects decided to go to either side of the Cat-Grizz rivalry. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. The latest commitments to Montana and Montana State each hail from Billings West High School, one of the top programs in the Treasure State. On June 26th, inside linebacker Lane Humphrey gave his pledge to Montana State, giving the Bobcats verbal commitments from 6 in-state prospects so far for the class of 2027. Humphrey's commitment came on the heels of Three Forks standout Cannon Rickman committing, giving MSU pledges from 2 of the top 10 prospects in Montana. The Grizz swung back in a huge way, landing their second Golden Bear of the recruiting season. Walker Olson, a 6'3", 210-pound safety and receiver who is widely considered one of the top prospects in Montana, gave his verbal commitment to Bobby Kennedy and his staff on July 2nd. Olson chose the University of Montana over offers from Montana State, Utah State, and San Diego State. Olson joins Billings West standout Jack Ryan as Golden Bears committed to the Grizz. Humphrey, who's listed at 6'1", 205 pounds, collected a team best 94 total tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, and a team-high 5.5 sacks last season as West finished up as a Class AA runner-up. Olson piled up 4 interceptions and 10 pass breakups to go 70 tackles last season as Billings West gave up just 10.1 points per game on defense on the way to a 10-2 record.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio. It's Nuanez Now coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. They can pick it up from your house twice a month. Want to add the service or make the switch? Call right now, 406-541-7171, or visit grizzlydisposal.com. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Missed anything in the first hour of the show, you can find it on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Quickly, a little diamond time for you. We got Paddleheads tickets for you, and we got D-Bat swing cards. D-Bat is the premier batting cage in Missoula. We got a pair of cards for you so you can take a buddy. You're going to get 75 cuts, whether you're a slow pitch softball player or a fast pitch baseball player or anything in between. They got a batting cage for you there. If you want to try it out, we got a couple gift cards for you. We're going to pair these with Paddleheads tickets. Missoula Paddleheads back in town later on this week. They're on the road in Boise, and they're at home against Boise. So if you want Paddleheads tickets for Friday, as well as D-Bat swing cards, text us, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Text us, let us know that you want to play some baseball and watch some baseball, 406-888-1029. Diamond Time proudly presented in part by DeMorris Automotive. DeMorris Automotive has been family-owned in Missoula since 1958. DeMorris Automotive at 3115 West Broadway. Proud to offer Buick, GMC, and Mercedes-Benz. Paddleheads have been just all over the place this year. They're 4-6 right now over their last 10, and they are 3 games below 500. So this is a pivotal series coming up, though, because the team right ahead of them in the standings is the Boise Hawks. Boise got out to a good start, but they've lost 8 out of their last 10, so they are spiraling a little bit. They are 22-20 overall. The Paddleheads 19-22 overall. So the Paddleheads are 2.5 games behind Boise, but they play a 3-game set in Boise and then a 3-game set in Missoula. So a chance for, you have a huge swing here, right? If you're the Paddleheads and you win all 6, you're going to completely leapfrog the Boise. If you're the Hawks and you win all 6, you could put the Paddleheads in the rear view, or you split and you're still right there and you're sort of coming down to it. So, been interesting, but if you want Paddleheads tickets to Friday night and D-Bat swing cards, 406-888-1029. A staple that usually comes on Wednesdays, but we'll do it right here on a Tuesday. Inside the FCS, back for another week. Samuel Kim joining us here on Nuanez Now. What's up, man? Thanks for being here.
Not much, man. It's been a quiet. This is a quiet time in the year, man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But we got a couple things to talk about. We got to start with probably the lead news of the last couple of weeks, and that was the contract extension for Bobby Kennedy. This has been rumbled about. We had talked about it, but now it's actually officially official, a 4-year deal for Kennedy. And I actually got reached out to by a ton of people about this. What do you think of this? This guy's never coached a game. I gave my 2 cents on Monday's show, so I'll leave the floor to you, and then I'll add where I can. But what did you think of the fact that the University of Montana gave Bobby Kennedy a 4-year contract extension without ever coaching a game?
I think it's warranted based on what he's done. It's hard to find coaches in college. Now, 4 years, I don't know about 4 years. I probably would have given him 2 extended years. So obviously he's on a 1-year deal now. I would have given him 2 additional years, maybe not 4 years. I feel like 4 years is a long-term commitment. But when you think about the buyout number is not that high either, $100,000. But I do think it's a warranted contract based on what he's done up to this point. Now, there have been no games for him to coach, so he couldn't have done that. But in terms of recruiting, in terms of getting the fans to buy in terms of getting his players to love him and all of those things, I think he's done everything from an administrative and a political standpoint that he could do up to this point. Now, it is a bit, crazy to sign somebody who's never coached a game, but also I think he will be a better coach knowing that he has security. If you're coaching and he said this was going to be his last job anyway, so I don't know necessarily if a long-term extension matters that much, but, when you don't have to think about it, I think it gives everybody peace of mind, as well as not only it gives Coach Kennedy peace of mind, but it gives Ayat, Gilman, Brooks Davis, maybe not Gilman, this is last year regardless, but it gives some of those younger guys who are still going to be here peace of mind, as well as Cooper Pelk, Almquist, all the guys that he's recruiting that are coming in that 2027 class, it gives those guys peace of mind as well.
And to me, the key, the years are irrelevant because of the buyout number.
Yeah.
Because the buyout number is basically half of a year of a base salary. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if he makes it to year 2, 3, 4. If they ever want to part ways, either way, either dismiss him or not renew him, or he walks away and takes a different job, or he walks away and retires. Any of those factors, it's only going to cost the university $100,000 or cost Bobby Kennedy $100,000, depending on what that scenario is.
Yeah.
So I think you give him the 4-year deal for the optics and just sort of let it ride. So I was thinking about this the other day. Here's a good debate topic for you. Giving him a 4-year deal, I think, implies then that the only way you're going to have a national search at Montana is if things don't go well, right? If basically you're saying this guy is going to be our coach for the now and the future, unless the train just goes straight off the tracks. Is that a good or a bad thing that Montana is basically skipping's the wrong word, but foregoing a national search? I mean, you take this back to all the way when I was in college. The Grizz have only had really 2 national searches in the last 17 years. And
was Bob Stitt part of a national search?
That's a national search. The 2 national searches were Robin Pflugrad, who had been a part of the Grizz program before and had a lot of familiarity, but they did have candidates from all over the country when he was hired in 2010. And then McNulty took over in sort of a long-term interim deal for 3 years. Right. And then Stitt was a national search, and then basically Bobby Houck was Game of Thrones, right? The
national,
boosters,
but come on.
It was not national. They fired Bob Stitt to hire Bobby Houck. Like everybody knew that was what was going to happen.
Yeah, right.
So it's been a long time. I mean, it's been basically only 2 national searches, and only one time did they ever actually hire somebody outside the family. The critics would say, well, the national search didn't go very well for the Grizz. The one time that they really did go outside the family and hired Bob Stitt.
Didn't Pflugrad technically win a Big Sky championship?
He did, yeah, and that was forfeited because of the NCAA violations. But I think a lot of people consider Pflugrad as part of the family, though, because a guy that had coached for Don Reed and had been at Montana, had won a national championship as an assistant. So I don't know. Is it a good or a bad thing for the Grizz that they are going to probably forego another opportunity for a national search?
In all fairness to Kennedy, in all fairness to Coach Kent Haslam, not Coach Kent Haslam, but Kent Haslam, AD Kent Haslam, national searches don't always, there's no guarantee in doing a national search that you'll come up with a good head coach. Think about going back to the Cody Hawkins situation. Obviously, it's a lesser school, and, obviously Montana has a bigger brand than what Idaho State has. But Cody Hawkins, we both would consider as a good head coach. Cody Hawkins, we both would consider as a good play caller. Cody Hawkins knows what the heck he's doing. So when you have somebody like that, you hang on to that guy, even if he hasn't necessarily turned up the level of playoff success, which who has at Idaho State? That's the real question. If you put Cody Hawkins at Montana, is he successful? I think so. But the main point that I'm trying to make is a national search isn't always what you want to do, because there aren't just good coaches sitting on the corner rattling a can, like just waiting for a job. Like, it just doesn't happen. Like, there are good coaches out there, and, there are people that can be proven. But also, I don't disagree with giving Bobby Kennedy an opportunity. Also, when, maybe Bobby Kennedy comes from, you could say, the Houck tree, but like, he was only 1 year under Bobby Houck.
Sure.
A lot of what he's learned has been outside of the Bobby Houck coaching tree. So I do like it from that standpoint also.
Samuel Kim joining us inside the FCS, probably presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Paradise Falls, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, open 7 days a week. Check them out on Brook Street, 3621 Brooks, Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot. So, second part of the question. If the Grizz did have a national search, do you think that they would have candidates worthy of going up against a guy like Bobby Kennedy, who's been an assistant at everywhere from Texas to Iowa to Stanford to
resume-wise, you'd probably get guys who are better. I mean, Montana is a very coveted job.
Right.
They play on national television. They make deep runs in the playoffs. They have a name brand. Like, I think you would get guys who have better resumes than Bobby Kennedy, in all honesty. Like, guys who probably have head coaching experience, guys who probably have coordinator experience, guys who have won at other destinations. Like, you'd probably get a ton of candidates who are more qualified than Kennedy, in all honesty.
It's really interesting to think about, because since Bobby Houck, people forget this because he was at Montana for 15 years, 2 different stints, but he was sort of the outlier dark horse candidate, even though he's from Big Timber.
Did he have that coaching experience?
He came in, swooped that job, right? I mean, he'd come from the Rick Neuheisel tree. He'd been at Colorado and Washington, but like everybody thought back in 2002 when Joe Glennon had walked away from the job and gone to Wyoming, everybody thought Brian Kelly was going to be the next head coach at Montana.
Brian Kelly, who ended up at
Notre Dame and LSU. Brian Kelly at the time was the head coach at Grand Valley State, Division II power, and he was the inside track. And then, as the story goes, Houck gave this unbelievable presentation to Wayne Hogan, who was the athletic director at the time, and Hogan said, "We got to hire this kid." Houck was 37 years old at the time. Maybe 38, but I mean, he was a young coach. He had only been coaching in the college ranks for like maybe 10 years.
Hadn't been a coordinator once again.
Hadn't been a coordinator. I mean, he basically just been a secondaries coach for Rick Neuheisel and had a couple years doing special teams. But that, I mean, it was in the early part of his what is now a long coaching career. But it's just interesting that since then the Grizz have had so many coaches, but most of whom fell into the job or got lured back to the job. In that same time span, Montana State has hired great coaches, one after the other, that have built on what each of the previous guy had done. Mike Kramer, not without his flaws, but certainly a guy that got the foundation laid and sort of helped resurrect the Bobcat program. Rob Ash, the guy who gave them stability after they got in a bunch of trouble, but also won 3 Big Sky championships. Jeff Choate, the guy who came in and sort of reinvigorated the Cats within the rivalry. And then Brett Began takes them all the way to the top. I just think I can see both sides of it, because you're right. There's not like a ton of great coaches out there that are just, rattling the can, like you said. But on the other side, I do think the Montana schools have so many different factors that are so great to draw great candidates. Yeah. You just wonder, right? So, I mean, that's the 50-50, because on one hand, I think if you were to get Bobby Kennedy as a candidate during a national search, I think you would think that guy was pretty intriguing. But I also agree that you probably have a handful of resumes that were kind of on par with that guy as well. So I don't know. I don't know which way is the right way to go, but I do think where the Grizz are at right now is just fine. I just wonder. Like, I guess my big question is, at what point do the Grizz actually have to do a national search? And if they do, how will that go? Because I do think, to your point, it will be a very, very coveted job.
I think the Bobby Kennedy. Post-Bobby Kennedy is the point where you do a national search. Whether it goes good, whether it goes bad, you say, okay, we are completely wiping our hands clean of anything that's been here, and we're going new, I think after Bobby Kennedy, maybe a whole new staff, maybe new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, which will be, tough to see some of these guys leave. But I think after Bobby Kennedy is officially when you can say, okay, we're doing a national search, and we're trying to clean house. Not necessarily that the house is dirty, but sometimes you just need a makeover.
Do you feel like now that we are a couple of months past the bombshell that was Houck leaving, that the number one priority internally was to maintain the roster? Do you feel like that's
absolutely?
And so do you feel like that's the right move then?
In terms of retaining Kennedy?
Yeah, because I just wonder, like, it's all retrospective, it's all speculation now, but let's say Bobby Houck retires and the Grizz just say, well, we're going to do a national search right now. Do you feel like they would have lost guys?
They would have lost guys, and they wouldn't have got a good candidate. Because you got to think about the timing of
the timing was terrible. Right.
It was terrible. It was terrible for guys to leave, and it was terrible for any coach who was looking to become a head coach at Montana because they've already taken new jobs. They've already just signed their new contracts. Like, it wasn't a good time. So I think in terms of Bobby Houck retiring, it was kind of ideal that he left when he did, because the guys who look at potentially getting in the portal, you're like, oh, we got a day left in the portal, or like, we don't really have an opportunity. School's already started. Where can we really get in? It was a bad time for them. But then also coaching, like, it kind of helped out Bobby Kennedy. So from a player standpoint, when Bobby Houck left, it was ideal. But from a coach's standpoint, it was a really not ideal time to try to find a new head coach.
Inside the FCS, Samuel Kemp joining us here on Nuanez Now. Okay, one last Grizz talking point, and then I want to talk some Cats. We did our Grizz over-under a couple weeks back, but now I want to do a little Bobcat over-under so we can start to then stack up the teams throughout the Big Sky Conference. But the Grizz did put out their kickoff times today, and I think everybody in the league is announcing kickoff times today as well. The Grizz have 4 night games, but 2 of them are on the road, so those are West Coast games at Oregon State and at UC Davis. The other 2 night games bookend their home schedule. Their first game of the year on August 29th, 7 p.m. against Southern Utah.
Idaho State.
And then they got Idaho State November 14th, which is the game right before the Brawl, and that'll be a nationally televised game. So that's a good one as well. I guess 2-part question. First of all, when you were a player, did you like or not like night games?
I love night games.
You love them.
It takes me back to high school. We played under lights in high school. I went to a big high school, and Friday night lights are, you know what it is, like in the more southern part of the country, football is religion down there. So Friday night lights is everything. And I love playing under the lights, man. Like, I feel like I had some of my better performances under the lights at times. So, yeah.
And there's always, I know the fans like it, but it's just a different sort of type of preparation and schedule and all that sort of stuff.
It's a long day.
Yeah, especially when you're on the road, right? So do you think it's an advantage or a disadvantage? I'm specifically looking at those back-to-back night games in late September at Oregon State, at UC Davis. Those are 2 of Montana's 3 most difficult opponents next year. Yeah. And, the Davis game kicks at 8 and the Oregon State game kicks at 9. So 9 Montana time, that is, when you're out there in Corvallis. So do you think that's an advantage or disadvantage for the Grizz? Is it harder to play those tough opponents on the road when it is at night?
I think it's a slight disadvantage, especially when you're on Pacific time, so you know already that it's a later time naturally than where you would be at, like 8 o'clock. And UC Davis is 9 o'clock Montana time. 9 o'clock in Oregon is 10 o'clock Montana time. So it's just like, when you think about that aspect of it, you're like, dang, like, these are already super, super late games in general. And then you put them on Montana time, and it's just like, it feels impossible. But so for that standpoint, yes, it's a slight disadvantage. But in the grand scheme, not really, because these guys have played ball their whole entire life, and if you can't get up for a college football game, this might not be the right type of environment for you. So I think these guys are able to get up. I know at times I'd be yawning before the games, but like, once you start playing, you're able to get into it. But it is a slight disadvantage, most certainly.
All right, let's talk Bobcats. We're going to go through their schedule. We're determining the over-unders. We set the Grizz at 9.5, and I think we were both a little bit leaning towards the over there, but obviously we always leave the Brawl up for grabs and up for debate, because that's the lead-up that we want, and that's the lead-up that we need. Here is Montana State's schedule as the defending champions. They went 0-2 to start the year a year ago, but then they won 14 in a row to win their first national championship since 1984. Cats open up on the road, St. George, Utah, as part of what was going to be a home-and-home, but then they ended up canceling the second part because Utah Tech's back at the league, but they get to play them in a non-conference one last time in St. George, August 29th. So I guess we'll just go game by game. That's a pretty certain W for Montana State.
Say it again, the first one?
At Utah Tech.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Yep. Come on. And then Butler at Bobcat Stadium. That's a win.
That's a win, yeah.
Then you got the Central. So I think let's just break it down by non-conference and conference. So and then they play at Nevada, and then they play Central Connecticut State in Bozeman. So I'm putting the over/under there at 3.5, because I think that you got the 2 home games for sure. Check the boxes. I think you win at Utah Tech for sure. And then the swing game is Nevada Arena. Would you agree that 3.5 is a fair over-under for the Bobcats non-conference schedule?
Non-conference, certainly 3. That's a fair over-under, and I would honestly say over. I don't think Nevada's a swing game. I think obviously that's an FBS opponent. There's a chance they could lose that game. But, if Montana State is who we think they are, they shouldn't struggle with Nevada, if we're being real.
Northern Arizona opens up conference play in Bozeman September 26th. Win or loss?
Oof. I like it. They're in Bozeman. I like them to get that one.
Yep. Next week, Cats play at Idaho in Moscow at the Kibbie Dome, October 2nd. It's a Friday night game as one of the nationally televised games for the Big Sky Conference.
So they got back-to-back on national television. They get Northern Arizona, ESPN2, and then ESPN the next week.
Yep, that's pretty good exposure for Montana State for sure. National champs in the Kibbie Dome, October 2nd. What do you think?
I like Montana State, but, depending on how Idaho looks early on in the season, that could be one. I talked about on a Kim's Analysis this past week, or actually this was last week, I dropped a video saying, some of my bold predictions for the season. And I said, I feel like Montana State will drop one. They could drop one, not Nevada and not Montana. So, they're going to have a week where it's what the heck are they doing? Why can't they figure it out? That could be that week against Idaho in Moscow on the road.
Well, They haven't played that great at the Kibbie Dome. They've only had to go there a couple times, but they haven't played that great there. I mean, they've been on a national championship aside, which it's hard to put a national championship to the side, but they've been on a crazy run under Brent Began, period, right? I mean, they've only lost 3 conference games in the last 5 years, but because of the way the schedule has worked, they've gotten Idaho at home. They've played the Vandals a bunch, but they've gotten them at home almost every time. Like in 24
on national television.
24 they play the night game on national TV. They destroyed them, and that's when you were like, okay, that Montana State team's for real. Then they got them back.
Got them in the quarters.
Got them in the quarterfinals and took them apart, dismantled them, scored 59 on them. That was the nightmare matchup for Idaho. But the year before that, everybody talks about the meltdown that Montana State had in Missoula to sort of cap what was a disappointing November. And then, of course, that Bobcat team lost on a blocked extra point in overtime to North Dakota State.
They missed a couple kicks in that Idaho game.
That's the game that triggered it all, right?
Yes.
I mean, there was the I can't remember if it was a long third down or a long fourth down, but it was a fourth down because they went for it, and Malott threw one of the best throws of his whole career to Taco Dowler in stride in the end zone, and Taco dropped it. That's one of the only drops he's ever had in his life.
And that was the quarterback, the one who transferred.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Giovanni McCoy, because the Vandals were coming off of the heartbreaking loss to the Grizz. Well, that was when the Grizz had their backs against the wall. They had they'd lost to Northern Arizona. They had just squeaked out a win at UC Davis. I mean, depending on who you believe.
It was a big win on the road.
I mean, depending on who you believe, Bobby Houck was on the hot seat at that exact moment. They go to the Kibbie and they win that game. Idaho had rolled out the red carpet. I mean, that's the most lit I'd ever seen the Kibbie Dome to that point. But then the following week, you had to have a bounce back, and Idaho got a bounce back. But you're right. They missed. I mean, the kicking woes began that day.
Yes.
The conversion woes began that day. And I mean, that at that exact moment,
that was a nasty game.
The Cats were the number 2 team in the country. And then they lost that game. And then they lost again. And then they lost again. And then they lost again after that. And they all of a sudden.
And at that point, when they lost to NDSU, it was like, this is a microcosm of what the season has been.
Totally. So I don't think 23 has any influence on 26, but I do think that the Kibbie Dome is a great, tough venue to play in. Being at night on a Friday on a short week, you're coming off of another nationally televised game that's also a night game against NAU, so that makes it an even shorter week. So you're right. I think that is a spot for a trap game. So let's just say we're going to put the over-under for those first 2 conference games at 1.5. So we'll keep on going through this. I think we can both agree at Eastern Washington is a win for Montana State. At Weber State in Bozeman.
For the listeners, yes, I agree.
Bozeman, Weber State in Bozeman, coming off of, their bye's not till the next week, but Weber in Bozeman, I think we say that's a win.
Yeah.
Cal Poly in Bozeman, that's a win.
Yeah.
Idaho State hosts Montana State.
That's another trap. That's another trap game that they could potentially, depending on where Idaho State is at that point. I could see them losing that. I don't predict them losing that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did lose that game.
North Colorado in Greeley is a win, and then you got the Grizz coming to Bobcat Stadium. So we'll leave the rivalry out of it, but let's say their first 7 conference games, I'm putting that over under at 6.5. Because I think you got the 2 trap games, Idaho and Idaho State.
Yeah.
Okay, so we basically got 3.5 and 6.5, so we got 10.5 basically going into the Brawl of the Wild, and then it's either going to be 10.5 or an 11.5 for Montana State. I think the Cats will be really, really good next year. I think they're going to be really, really tough to beat. But I can't give them in good conscience an 11.5 over-under, because that basically means the only way you hit the overs if you go undefeated. And I just think the season's so long, there's all sorts of different things that can rear their heads. And as we know,
be a stumble.
I mean, there's always a chance to stumble, but it's also how do you respond when you do stumble, right? That was the story of last year's Montana State season. They stumbled against South Dakota State, and then they almost stumbled again against Mercyhurst, and then they ripped the faces off of everybody in the league for the next 6 weeks to really gain some momentum. But, I mean, do you think 10.5 is fair for Montana State as an over-under?
I think 10.5 is fair. I mean, honestly, too, I feel like if this team doesn't get to 10 or 11, like if this team doesn't, because I'm leaning towards the over. If this team doesn't get 11 wins, I'm like, man, like you guys kind of missed out. Like there's no way that this team, the way they're constructed, the way they're built, with the type of what we saw them do last year, not having the confidence of a national championship, like there's no way they can go from that to not being, especially looking at their schedule. I mean, there's some beef on there, but like it looks really good. The schedule looks really good.
It definitely does. And to get, I mean, for Montana State to finish as a 9-win team, for example, a multitude of combinations would have to happen, right? They would have to lose at Nevada, and they would have to lose one of those trap games, and they would have to lose at home. And the home loss would have to come to probably Northern Arizona or Montana. So even if 2 of the 3 of those scenarios happen, you're still winning 10. You know what I mean? Like each of those 3 scenarios could happen independently. Montana State losing in Reno, or Montana State losing another one of their conference road games, or Montana State stubbing their toe at home against one of the good teams. Those all could happen. All 3 of those scenarios happening at the same time seems nearly impossible to me.
Yeah. Also, to think about this, we talk a lot about how are they going to handle being the hunted, but also understand like that other team across from them has to conceptualize the fact that like, hey, these are the national champions. They are not going to roll over. And at what point at one point in the game are we going to notice? Because we will be able to notice it. Oh, they've quit. You know, they'll get mid to the second quarter. They'll realize, okay, we can't stop Adam Jones. Justin Lamson's just going to keep making the throws. Taco Dow's going to stay open. We just can't really do anything with this team. They're not giving up much on defense. Like, at what point do teams realize they come into the game thinking, okay, we're going to upset the national champs. And then they get into the game about 15, 30 minutes into the game like, we're not going to upset the national champs.
Right. And then all of a sudden you start making business decisions, right? Like, you're not going all the way out. You don't want to hit Colson Kuhn full speed in the hole, or I mean, there's a lot of different things that happen in those scenarios.
I don't want to meet Cole Taylor in the A gap.
Man,
I don't.
I mean, it's like Portland State, Montana last year, right? When the Grizz were playing out there, and Robbie Haug pulls the fast one on his old man. They get the onside kick early. They get an early score, and you're sitting there thinking, "Well, wow, all right, Grizz on the ropes, maybe a little upset bid. Barney, coaching for his job." And then the Grizz win like 63-7 or whatever it was. I mean, as soon as the momentum turns, you get to see the underdogs.
Or like even think about last year, Northern Colorado. They hung in with Montana State for about a quarter, 2 quarters. It's like, okay, like this Northern Colorado team may be able to do something. And then just slowly and surely, Montana State just.
And then boom, it's 55-7, and they got 400 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Okay, last question on this. Who is the one player that Montana State can't afford to lose? Because that's always a factor in these seasons.
Justin Lamson.
It's got to be Lamson, right?
It's Lamson. Him, I mean, because and this isn't to disrespect Adam Jones, because everybody who's listening to me knows I love Adam Jones.
No.
I don't think their offense is dependent on him being the running back.
And that's not even an Adam Jones. That's everybody, right? Like, Adam Jones and Eli Gilman are 2 of the best players in the country, but if you lose those guys, again, I'm not saying that the next guys are as good as them. They're not even close to as good as them.
No.
But they can still produce. They can still, like, the drop between Ayat, KLE Ayat, and Luke Flowers, and the drop between Justin Lamson and Patrick Duchesne compared to the drop at the other positions is profound. I think Flowers and Duchesne are both good.
Yeah.
But like,
let's get real.
You lose the best quarterback in the country, and one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the country. That I mean, that's the answer, right? I mean, because the Cats have all sorts of headliners, But like Cole Taylor, they got depth at linebacker. Taco Della, they got depth at receiver. Adam Jones, they got depth at running back.
Another position group I would say where maybe it's caused a pause. If they lose one or two linemen, that could really hurt things because obviously their starters are good. But, obviously when you start to cycle guys in, that messes with continuity. Same thing on the defensive line. I think that's one question mark that, if any, I would have for the Montana State team right now is, what does their defensive line look like? Really the interior defensive line, because Paul brought, he did a lot. The same thing we say about, from 2023 with the Grizz, Gubner. Yeah. Gubner. As important as he was, I see Paul Brought as similar. I mean, like, losing guys like that matters a lot. So I'm interested to see what their D-line looks like. And if they do have a D-line and what that interior looks like. Talon Marsh, obviously the other guys in there, losing somebody like that who means a lot to stopping the run, filling up gaps, is going to hurt them a lot. But Justin Lamson unequivocally is the number one piece.
It's absolutely true. And again, games aren't played on paper. Our predictions are not written in ink yet. It's only July 7th. But
we reserve the right to change our opinions.
But I do think right now where we got it is pretty good. We have the Grizz at over 9. We have 9.5 as the over-under for the Grizz. And we haven't picked our over-unders yet, but we've given you our leans, and we got the Cats at over-under 10.5. So I think those are pretty good places to start. Samuel Kim here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. You mentioned it's a slow time of year, but you've still been just cranking out the content. So to give people the update, what's new on your channel? What's new with everything going on with Samuel Kim, Kim's analysis, and all your contributions here at ESPN and the Big Sky Breakdown?
So you guys can obviously follow my YouTube channel at the Samuel Kim Show. I will be launching the show. Me and Coulter have decided around the August 10th or the August 17th. We haven't decided a specific date, but that Monday morning of either of those weeks, I'll be going live in the morning from 6 to 7 a.m. for my first time. So make sure you guys stay tuned in for that. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Samuel Kim Show podcast feed. I used to be under the Big Sky Breakdown. Now I'm under the Samuel Kim Show podcast feed of my own. So go subscribe to that or wherever you guys get your podcast from. And then follow all my socials. The Samuel Kim Show has an Instagram, a Twitter, and a TikTok account. So you guys can go follow those and find clips from my show. And there will be more clips coming out during the football season. So be tuned in, man. We got a lot going on with the Samuel Kim Show and Skyline Sports. It's exciting. And while you guys are at it, if you guys want to go subscribe to Deep Ball with me and Keenan Curran, we're taking the month of July off. But when August starts back up, we'll have a solo episode for you guys talking about the upcoming season.
We'll have a couple more excerpts of the Deep Ball podcast. A lot of that content is evergreen, so you can go listen to it at any time. One guy who these guys did a podcast with months ago, who we have not played an excerpt from on this show, is Dylan Cook, who's from Butte, Montana, and plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers now. And he's got an awesome story, and it's an awesome interview. So we'll play an excerpt for you from that later on this week. But in the meantime, go check out all those different properties, and we'll have a more consolidated place to find all that stuff for you here pretty darn quick. But thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it, and good to hear from you this week.
Yes, sir.
Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. Well, tonight, ESPN Radio. Nuanez Now coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Appreciate you for hanging out. We got to keep rolling. Another fun guest for you. Hey, the rounds continue because there's a fun event coming up July 17th at Washington Grizzly Stadium. A handful of Grizz football players are hosting a youth camp, including the young man who joins us next, Tanner Huff from Butte, Montana, and a senior defensive back for the Grizz. Thanks for being here, man. How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me.
That's pretty crazy to say, senior. I remember way back in the day when you ran the 100 meters at the state meet and got yourself an invite to the Grizz football team. So tell us about that part. I mean, it's sort of crazy to think that here you are going into is it your fifth or even your sixth year?
Yeah, this is my year. It's crazy. It's gone by so fast, and feels like yesterday I was in high school or coming in here as a freshman.
Yeah, well, it's crazy, man. That's how life goes. But certainly Montana's been happy to have you. So first of all, let's just start with the here and now. Tell us about the sort of the motivation for these camps, because it's a cool deal for kids to come out and get to hang out with all you guys. So what made you guys come up with this idea, and what are you excited about for it?
Yeah, the motivation was just as kids, we all looked forward to going to the kids camps. Like in Butte, it was a Butte High one, and then around the state, Tech, Western, University of Montana, just always wanting to be part of something. And in the summer, that's the time and opportunity to do all sports and just have a lot of opportunities as well. And just the opportunities to give back to, like when we were younger, the kids and players being able to coach us, and we want to leave a lasting impact for the next generation to come.
Well, it's going to be a great memory for all these kids that attend, certainly. If you haven't heard, Tanner's hosting these camps with Ian Finch, Brooks Davis, Kaylee Ayat, and Peyton Wing. So a good group, certainly. So tell us about the group at large. The Grizz football team has gone through several months of great transition, but I thought that in spring, I thought you guys looked great. So tell us about just how it's gone for you personally, and maybe what you've noticed that's different or new for with the new coaching staff at the helm.
Yeah, with the new coaching staff, there's a lot of things that have been different scheme wise. So we're just sharpening that up right now, obviously, and just going back to still watching games from last year, seeing where you can improve as a player and what you need to work on. Like if you give away tips and tricks to helping the other team, like just scouting yourself as well.
That's such an interesting part that maybe I think the common fan doesn't understand. So how important do you think that is, to self-scouting and sort of tweaking what you do or getting better at sort of the little things that in terms of operation?
Yeah, so I guess as looking back on it, like there's things that you might not have noticed like in that current moment. So like being able to scout yourself, just like footwork wise, if you're leaning too much one way, or just the small things like false steps, just getting that down and recognizing things to where you can improve on that and have going into the season knowing those things as well.
Talking to some of the offensive guys, some tweaks, some differences, but certainly a lot of continuity there with the same offensive coordinator in Brent Pease, and obviously Bobby Kennedy taking over as the head coach. I mean, he was coaching on offense last year as well. Rob Fennessy's been around Grizz offenses on and off for better part of 25 years. So defensively, though, you mentioned it's a wholesale change. You guys were running a scheme that very few other people in the country were running, and now you got a new scheme. So what's it been like? What's the ins and outs of just how it's been different for you, and what sort of tweaks that you've noticed, and just the challenges of learning a new defensive scheme?
Yeah, I'd say like the terminology is probably the biggest thing. Like whole different defense, so like the play calling is obviously different, but all in all, as a defense, it's pretty much the same coverage wise. Like there's only cover like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like all defenses run the same coverage scheme wise. So
is learning? I mean, how hard is learning new terminology? Is it like learning a different language?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, just like if you say one thing, but this coaching staff might not have called it that, but it's like the same principles, just words. So yeah, they're helping us with that, correcting it to where we're speaking the same language. So,
well, last year there was a whole bunch of seniors on defense, but there was a whole bunch of you guys that also played quite a bit, especially in the defensive secondary, right? Yourself, Cade Cutler, Cade Boyd. I mean, a bunch of the safeties that rotated in quite a bit. So, what have you thought of just the group, and what's it been like to acclimate into a new position coach as well?
Yeah, I think we all have like ties to Coach Nurse. Like he was at Carroll recruiting a bunch of us, and then obviously us as a group, like the guys that came back, and then all the transfers we've had since January to get to know each other. And we're a tight knit group. Like we hang out all the time together, so it's awesome to see and how far we've come with that.
Coach Nurse was a great player himself once upon a time. So when a guy has done it at a high level, do you think that translates into the way he's able to teach it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They know the ins and outs. Like we had Coach Tim, great safety as well, come back to us. So having the opportunity to have both of those guys like pass on their knowledge, it's huge. Not many people can say that they have that.
Yeah. Well, just in terms of going through spring ball, is there anything that you noticed that you think might be a strength of the Grizz defense in this upcoming season?
I think it's always physicality and the willingness to compete. We hate losing, so going in every day, attacking it with the mindset that we don't have to, but we get to.
It's interesting talking to Peyton Wing about that because he's only been around for a little while compared to a lot of you guys. But if you would have just taken the name off of it, and you heard him talking about playing linebacker for the Grizz, it could have been from 20 years ago, 30 years. You know what I mean? Like the standard remains the same. And like you say, like the scheme can change. But at Montana, run the ball, hit people, play physical football. That's been the way it's been my whole life. So I don't expect that to change. So it sounds like you guys are embracing that part too.
Yeah, we definitely are. It's a killer mindset, I'd say. Yeah.
Tanner Huff joining us here on Nuanez Now, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. He is one of 5 Grizz that are hosting a youth camp coming up July 17th at Washington Grizzly Stadium. Any other things that you guys are really concentrated on this offseason before we get into some of the details about this camp? Any other work you need to get done or any other progress you hope to make here before fall camp rolls around?
No, I think we're dialed in on what we need to do right now. So it's just trusting each other, trusting our coaches, and coming together even more so.
Well, you talked about sort of giving back to the community and motivating these kids and hoping they have a great experience. But what sort of things do you hope to teach them just in terms of football and also just fun when this camp rolls around in a couple weeks?
I think it's honestly the fundamentals because they don't go away. You're going to every single day when we have practice, we do everyday drills, and it's the fundamentals of it. So footwork, technique, and that's what we're hoping to pass on to the next generation and allowing them to have us be their coach.
Did you have players when you were a kid that you looked up to?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, Colt Anderson, obviously.
Colt Anderson coming from Butte for sure.
And then, I don't know, there's a lot. Really admire like guys in the NFL. Like, don't even know them, but like my favorite player of all time is Bo Jackson. So
love it. I love it. The Last Folk Hero by Jeff Pearlman. Read the book. You'll love it. If you're a Bo Jackson guy, you got to read that book. Have you read it before?
No, I have not.
It's awesome, man. You got to read it. He's even bigger of a freak and even bigger of an anomaly than you could ever imagine. I love that. Bo Jackson's one of my favorites too. Well, that's very cool, and I think that it's awesome you guys are giving back. Just the fact that it is, these kids do look up to you guys. They do think of you guys as sort of heroes. It seems like not just you guys, but the entire program sort of leans into that responsibility. So what do you think of just that responsibility and the fact that you are sort of, the idols of kids that might be Grizz someday?
Yeah, I think now, like with social media platform and everything, it's even bigger. Like you can look at how someone's acting. Obviously, like you're getting judged every single day, but in order to pass it on to the next generation, you have to be a good person and be good in school. And then football comes with it.
Well, very cool. And again, July 17th, Washington Grizzlies Stadium. These guys, Tanner Huff, Ian Finch, Kaylee Ayat, Brooks Davis, and Peyton Wing all putting on a camp for all the kids around Montana. So if you can make it down, you definitely should. We'll put all the various different ways you can sign up on the radio, on TV, on YouTube, and on all the social medias. But we appreciate you for making some time today, Tanner. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Just a couple spots left in that camp, so if you want your kid to sign up, you should. It's 10 days away. It's next Friday, July 17th at the Montana Athletics Bubble. It's a Tuesday. That means it's a Tag Tuesday. We're going to give it till the end of the show. All you got to do is text us. You want free Tag Larry Deli? 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Tell you more about the best sandwich shop in Montana on the other side and give you a renewed chance to win a $25 gift card. But text us, 406-888-1029. Nuanez Now, back after this.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. Save up to $1,000 off top-rated Tempur-Pedic, or save hundreds off Purple mattresses and premium adjustable bases. Save up to 50% on top-of-the-line mattresses, all backed by their 365-day guarantee. See store for details. It's their biggest 4th of July sale ever at your locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
No, it's now ESPN Radio. One more chance to win Tagliari Deli Tag Tuesday every Tuesday here on Nuanez Now. Usually we do it during the first hour, but we got a lot of stuff to give away here today. So appreciate everybody for chiming in, tuning in, and texting in. Congratulations to our lucky winners of the MMA fight tickets that's going down at Big Sky Brewing on Saturday. We gave away all the rest of them, so I think we're sending a couple dozen people to the fights there at Big Sky, courtesy of Young Motorsports and Young Grizzly Harley Davidson. We also gave you some Paddleheads tickets and some D-Bat swing cards. But if you want $25 gift card to Tagliari, every Tuesday we got it for you, including this Tuesday. Text us 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Tag Tuesday every Tuesday here on Nuanez Now. This is like the desert. Lost in the desert with no water. There's no World Cup now. I mean, there is still World Cup, and I'll watch some of the matches, but there's no United States in the World Cup. And the All-Star break for baseball is right around the corner. The British Open isn't until next week, so I don't know what to do with my hands. I guess read books and play outside. That's the moral of the story. If you're a sports junkie like me, you're always looking for something to tune into. And we'll get some coming back next week with the British Open coming up at Royal Birkendale in England. But in the meantime, we will certainly figure out a way to fill in the blanks. Tomorrow, we'll hear from Peyton Wing, plus the return of one of your favorites, Marty Morneweg. But guess what? He's bringing two other Mornewegs as well. We got all three Morneweg men in studio with us tomorrow for ESPN Roundtable. We'll see you at 4 p.m. This has been Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.